Let's bring in Mark Dubowitz, CEO of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, on all this. Mark, always good to see you. I mean, it seems to stem and start with Tehran. They obviously must be stung. But what do you think they are thinking now after these incredible defeats?
Well, Eric, I think it's a huge defeat for the Islamic Republic of Iran because the Israelis are finally taking the fight to the head of the octopus rather than just fighting the octopus's tentacles, these terror armies like Hamas, Hezbollah, and others. So the Supreme Leader must be aware now that the Israelis have deeply penetrated his security forces and his intelligence networks, and the Israelis could take the fight directly to the Islamic Republic if Joe Biden permitted that and wasn't taking targets off the table both publicly and privately as the Israelis prepare for a retaliatory strike.
Do you think that this could be a time to potentially topple the regime if the Israelis were not restrained?
Well, I think this is the time to provide support to the millions of Iranians inside Iran who despise this regime and have been on the streets, Eric, since 2009, yelling death to the dictator. You know, President Obama, are you with us? Are you with the dictator? As they cried out in 2009. And back on the streets every year since 2017, culminating in the Women Life Freedom protests. So, yeah, I think the Israelis have now made toppling the regime in Iran a central pillar of their strategy. And that strategy means providing support to these millions of Iranians to undermine and weaken and ultimately, if history smiles on us, to bring down the regime.
What will it take, do you think, to finally end this insidious nightmare?
Well, it would take the United States committing to work with our Israeli friends. I mean, you know, between the United States and Israel, we can bring down the regime in Iran, a regime that has been killing Americans, maiming Americans for decades. And I think the Israelis have now demonstrated that a country of only 10 million people with a tiny air force and a small intelligence community can really take the fight directly to the regime, to the head of the octopus. Eric, imagine if we were willing to partner with them and bring the fight directly to Tehran.
Here's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the wake of Sinwar's death and in the wake of what he says was an attempted assassination attempt with a drone targeting his home, his private home that came from the north. Let's listen.
2 days ago, we took out Yahya Sinwar, the terrorist mastermind whose goons beheaded our men, raped our women, burnt babies alive. We took him out, and we're continuing our battle with Iran's other terrorist proxies. We're going to win this war.
We are going to win this war. Is this really, as I've said, his Churchill moment? He is strong. He is steadfast, despite all of the criticism, not appeasing the terrorists.
Well, I think this is Israel's Churchill moment. I mean, I think the Israeli Defense Forces and the Mossad have really bounced back from the terrible tragedy of October 7th, and brave men and brave women have been fighting the battlefield, many of them dying and being wounded in this fight. So, yeah, I sort of admire the Israeli political leadership, but I really do admire the brave men and women who've taken this fight directly to these terrorist armies, again, many of whom have killed and maimed Americans.
The Prime Minister knows it firsthand. His brother Jonathan was killed in the raid in Entebbe. He was the commander of that, as well as the Prime Minister being a commander. We're looking now at a friend of yours, an IDF colonel killed today, so tragically, Ahsan Daksa, member of the Druze Arab community. His loss in Gaza, he was leading some forces in Rafah. Mark, tell us about the meaning of his life, his struggle, what he meant to Israel, and what it means to you to lose a friend in this fight for freedom against the terrorists.
Yeah, Eric, thank you for highlighting the life of Ahsan. Ahsan was a brave Israeli commander, fought in Gaza, fought in the Lebanon War in 2006. He was also a member of the Israeli Arab Druze community. They make up about 2% of the population of Israel. They're incredibly loyal and fierce fighters, and they've made tremendous sacrifices. And obviously Ahsan made the ultimate sacrifice. He also fought in the front. There's an Israeli commander, Israeli officer ethos, and they say, after me. And that means, after me, I'm leading my troops into battle. He fought from the front, not from behind, and fortunately paid the ultimate price. And Jews and Druze and all the citizens of Israel are mourning his loss as a great man and as a great fighter.
Mark, our condolences to you and our sincere condolences and thoughts to Ahsan Daksa and his family. Clearly, exactly what the civilized world is fighting for and against with the loss of brave, courageous men like Ahsan.
Exactly right. Thanks for having me, Eric.
Of course. Mark Dubowitz of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Fox News will continue right after this.